Started here. We have a lot to cover today. I want to thank the coaches for being here with their students. My name is Peter Stetson. I'm the president of Rhode Island Envirothon. This is our 21st year with Envirothon here in Rhode Island. So we have quite a long storied history of teams competing. We have Narragansett, Wheeler, Coventry, and the Compass School is represented here today. So we have two professionals in the field that are going to present to you, first on forestry, then on soils. So you have an opportunity to learn what their focus is going to be for their test. And that's part of the reason that you come here today, is so that you can listen to what they have to say and write down information that you want to go back to your advisors to and say, hey, Will, when he was talking about this as part of the topic, we haven't really covered that. Can you elaborate on that, or can you give us some more information so we can help prepare for the test? And that's part of the reason that the students come to these kinds of events. I want to make mention of an activity that the clubs can participate in, which is they can have the opportunity to make a t-shirt. Making the t-shirt is totally on the club's responsibility. This is the one from a few years ago. The individual that makes the shirt gets a special one printed just for them. It's different than all the other students. Every student that goes to the Envirothon competition gets a shirt. But the person that designs this gets a different shirt. Mr. Dolan has packets for those advisors that didn't make our orientation. Both for the middle school, we had an orientation for them, as well as for the high school, we had an orientation for them as well. So if you didn't make it to the orientation, you should grab one of those packets, because in that is the design specifications for the t-shirt. So the students have opportunity to participate in that avenue. It's really an opportunity for you guys to find out what's going on with the topic. We have this workshop. We'll have a wildlife and aquatics workshop down in Exeter later on in the year in March. And then towards the end of March, we'll have our third workshop, which is going to be on the special topic. This year, it's urban and community forestry. And if you go on the envirothon.org website, there's lots of information about that. For the advisors to pick up the packet today, there's a whole bunch of information included in that packet as well. So the opportunity really is for you guys to learn today. So ask questions. Make sure that you understand exactly what the person is talking about so that you can be prepared for the competition. So at this point, I would like to introduce Will Walker. Will is new to the committee with us, and he's the site supervisor for the forestry section. So, Will, here you go.
All right.
And you're up.
Well, do a brief introduction here. As Pete just mentioned, my name is Will Walker. I work for the state's forestry agency through DEM. I'm kind of excited to do this. You know, it's my first year. We'll try to get out in the woods as soon as we can, or along the edge of this field here, go over some trees, and like Pete had said, just ask me as many questions as you want, take notes, and just be interactive. We'll take some tools out, show you how to use a Biltmore stick if you guys don't already know. Have a syllabus for you guys. If every coach could grab one, I'm not sure if I have enough for every student. So if the coaches could come up before we take off, and yeah, we can do that. I'm not sure who the coaches are, and also just some handouts. So does anyone have any questions so far about forestry and what it entails? Cool. All right, so why don't we get going? Take a walk. Unless Paul, yes, yeah, you guys might want to use those. So I'm not going to go over the syllabus with you guys. It's pretty self-explanatory. Your coaches can do that with you. I don't want to waste any time that we could be spending out in the woods. If you do have any questions, I'll give out some business cards. You guys can send me emails, or the coaches can, and I'll be available to answer as much as I can. How many of you guys are new to this? Is this your first year? All right, quite a few then. Me too, so it's new to me also, so we're in the same boat.
So we're gonna go for a walk?
Yes.
A walk in the woods. Woo.
A walk in the woods.
Good morning, I'm Paul Dolan. I previously was the forestry section person. Now I'm coordinating. I do another class for tree stewards on tree identification. You worked on the field end, which is very critical. Now you know what they look like. I'm going to teach you a quick and dirty way of how to remember them with the tree ID book. We ended up streamlining this course because we started teaching it to DOT guys. So we were just kind of concerned on teaching them tree identification in 15 minutes. You know, and I got a bridge to sell and some land in Florida. How do we identify them? Site versus site. Will talked about certain ones growing on certain sites. We saw a lot of sun lovers. Some like it hot, some not, some like wet, some dry. Some with competitions, others like to be left alone and in the sun. Some like certain parts of the country, others don't. Soil is critical. Most of the time, this is the deciding factor. So when we go outside and we talk to Jim Tureen, he's going to talk about soil being the most important thing going. We differ a little bit, but, you know, not much. My senses, how do I figure? Sight, feel, smell, hearing. The shape of the leaves, or the needles, the fruits, the smell, the arrangement of the branches, the bark, and the color. We'll skip through that. What are we concerned about? Actually, we're only concerned about that you know the right name of it. With family with genosperms, etc. Conifers, they're basically genosperms. We'll skip through that. This is my first group. And if I could, get your tree ID book out, please. Go to page 6. Says start here. If you need a book, there's some extras in the back. 6A, does a tree bear cones and have leaves that are needle? This is the one we're identifying, and we had seen it outside, which is a very good way to start. We saw the samples, now we got to figure out what they are and how to make our life easier. Does it bear cones? Yeah, it probably did bear cones. I'm sorry. It bears cones. These trees are called conifers. Most of them are called evergreens. They're trees with needles. Okay, so they have needles. We go to 7D. Are the trees evergreen with needles and clusters of 2 to 5? They are called pines. This has a cluster of 5. It says there that I go to 8A. 8A. Are the needles clustered in groups of 5, and are the cones long with thin scales? It is an eastern white pine. Ta-da! That's an eastern white pine. Fairly easy way of doing it. And I am sorry, I am going backward. Eastern white pine, 5 needles. Red pine, which is a tree that you'll probably find on your exam, 2 needle pines, RP. White, red flaky bark. Most of the names of the trees aren't done by rocket scientists. They're fairly easy. Pitch pine, 3 needle pine. I throw you 3 strikes, you're out. Or pitch, I think of as tar, T-A-R, 3 needle pine. It's also a soneracinous cone, which is a fancy word for it needs a forest fire to open up. Pitch pine. The shape is different than your white pine. It's a harder look in the woods. It's a scrubbier one, usually grows on a sandier soil. My group 2, so I did all the conifers in 4 major groups. And what I end up doing is I break my book up with postums. I break it down by 4 major groups for the conifers, so I don't have to go back to 6 every time. These are deciduous evergreens, which doesn't make any sense until I go back to this definition. Conifers are gymnosperms. They are cone-bearing seeds. And then most of them are naked seeds. So the gymnosperms are naked seeds, and that's why this group fits in. We saw the larch. The larch is an evergreen tree, which doesn't make any sense at all because it doesn't have any needles. But it's the way the seed is set up that it's in the evergreen family. And dawn redwood is one of those. So we look at the American larch. If you had seen it, even though we're out here in mid-October, last year we did it in November and there was almost nothing to see. Some of them fell early this year because of the droughty conditions. Those come in little whorls. Dawn redwood is one of these ancient trees, but it's another one. It's a softer looking one. It also sheds its needles. Group 3 of conifers are single needles. We really didn't see any out there, but they're a very large and common group. My hemlocks, my spruces, my firs fit in them. If you go to do some diagnosis, remember friendly firs and spiny spruces. So if you grab a Douglas fir, it feels nice and soft. If you grab a Colorado spruce, you only do it once. White spruce is in that family. It's a nice looking tree, used for a Christmas tree quite a bit. Norway spruce, lousy Christmas tree. Beautiful ornamental tree because it has relatively few problems. Colorado blue, gorgeous tree, very spiny. See how it accentuates the backyard? Eastern hemlock, we can see over here some of the hemlock woolly delge. Fraser fir actually has turned out to be one of the most popular Christmas trees. Douglas. Group 4, we looked at the red cedar out there. If we looked at abovite, it's the same type of thing. What they are basically is it's called all shape. And we can see the difference on their scaly and all shape is almost, an all is almost like what you would use an ice pick. It's something along that line, and the scalies are like that. So if you really look at the red cedar, you'll notice that it's a scaly one versus the abovites. I put that in as a separate group altogether. So that'd be my number 4. So when I start seeing, if I saw a red cedar out there and I wasn't sure if it was a red cedar or an abovite, I'd jump into my section 4 and not go back to page 6. Your junipers, they're sun lovers. Eastern red cedar, the fruit is used to flavor gin. Usually gets people's attention. Northern white cedar, this is very surprising. Usually you find it pruned up by the deers up to about 5-6 feet high. Our distinction in between the hardwoods and softwoods, basically the distinction is the conifers are gymnosperms, which are naked seeds. And the other ones, the deciduous ones, are angiosperms, which are coated seeds. Deciduous hardwoods, okay.